All right, folks, here we go. Everyone here probably already knows how awesome this car is, and we're talking about the Porsche 911. Not just any sports car, but the one that's been making people drool since the 60s. And yes, we know, you're already impressed. But did you know it was almost called the 901? Yeah, stick around because we're about to drop 21 facts that even the most die-hard Porsche nerds might not know. Buckle up, this is gonna be fun. The Porsche 911 was supposed to be the 901 until Peugeot threw a tantrum over the zero in the middle thing. So Porsche said, fine, we'll call it the 911, and it ended up sounding even cooler. The 911 is a masterpiece and it deserves a name with a bit more oomph. Ever wondered why the 911's engine is in the back? It's like putting the toilet in the kitchen. Sure, it's different, but is it better? Porsche decided to stick it there for better traction. Putting all that weight over the rear wheels makes things a bit tail-happy. Spoiler alert, it made the car tricky to handle. But hey, it's character building, right? Carrera. Sounds fancy, doesn't it? Rolls off the tongue like a fine wine. It's named after a deadly Mexican road race, the Carrera Panamericana. What says luxury sports car better than a race where people risked life and limb? The Carrera Panamericana was the stuff of legends, dust, danger, and brave drivers. Chapter 4, the turbo that almost wasn't, the 911 Turbo, everyone's dream car. Or at least it should be. In 1975, engineers almost canned it. They worried it was too much power. Now it's the poster child for more power, more problems. But those are the best problems to have. Chapter 5. The G-Series Long Reign. The G-Series 911, aka the model that wouldn't quit, was in production for 16 years. They just kept making it. Kinda like that one friend who just won't leave the party. You know the type, you're ready for bed, but they're still going strong, telling the same stories and spilling beer on the carpet. But unlike your friend, the G-Series just kept getting better with age. It was like a fine wine that someone kept topping up with more wine. It just got more and more potent. Chapter 6. Air-cooled forever, except not. Die-hard fans will tell you air-cooled 911S are the real deal. They make all the right noises and smell like a proper sports car. Then Porsche switched to water-cooled engines in '98, causing purists to lose their minds. It was like replacing the Queen with a pop star. Sure, the new one might be more modern, but it's just not the same. But hey, at least the headlights got weirder. Chapter 7, the first odd 911. In 1989, Porsche introduced the Carrera 4, the first 911 with all-wheel drive. Because why not? I mean, who needs a reason to give a sports car more grip? It's like giving a cheetah roller skates. Completely unnecessary, but kind of brilliant at the same time. You know, for those who wanted to drive their $100,000 sports car on snow? Because why not? Chapter 8. That time it broke records. The Porsche 911 GT2 RS didn't just set a Nürburgring lap record, it obliterated it. It went around that track like it was possessed by the ghost of Ayrton Senna himself. It's the kind of car that makes you question your own mortality, like you've just witnessed something truly supernatural. But let's be real, if you're buying a GT2 RS, you're probably more interested in showing it off at the local coffee shop than lapping the ring. Chapter 9, the 1,000,000th 911. In 2017, Porsche built its 1,000,000th 911. It was a green Carrera S, and yes, they made a big deal out of it. It was like the Queen's birthday, but for a car. But honestly, if I had 1,000,000 of anything, I'd be pretty smug about it too. Imagine the parking lot, a sea of 911S, all different colors, all glorious. It would be enough to make a grown man weep, with joy, of course. Chapter 10. Did you know the Porsche 911 has rear seats? Well, kind of. They're more like padded shelves than actual seats. You could probably fit a small dog back there or maybe a couple of bags of groceries. But hey, if you've got tiny friends or really small pets, they're perfect. Just don't expect to fit anyone taller than a garden gnome back there. Chapter 11. Steve McQueen's 1979 11S from Le Mans holds the record for the most expensive 911 ever sold at auction. It went for $1.375 million, proving that everything's more valuable if a cool guy drove it. It's like finding out your granddad's old hat was actually worn by Winston Churchill during the war. Suddenly, it's not just a hat anymore, is it? I bet that car has seen things. Parties with Hollywood stars, high-speed chases, maybe even a few near-death experiences on the track. Chapter 12. The original Porsche. 911 was born in a design studio in Vienna, Austria. That's right, before it became a symbol of German engineering, it was sketched out in a city known for classical music and schnitzels. It's like if Beethoven had been inspired to compose his greatest symphonies while eating a hot dog. Unexpected, but amazing. Who knows what those Viennese designers were putting in their coffee? But whatever it was, it worked. And finally, the Porsche 911 isn't just a car, it's a community, a cult, a family. It's a group of people who understand that a car can be more than just a machine. It can be an obsession, a way of life. And if you don't believe me, just crash a 911 meetup without one. You'll see what I mean. You'll be surrounded by people who speak fluent 911, who can tell you the difference between a 930 and a 993 blindfolded, who probably have pictures of their 911S on their bedside tables. Chapter 14. First 911 crash. Here's one for the history buffs. The first recorded crash of a Porsche 911 happened during testing before it even hit the market. Guess what? The driver was fine, but the car, let's just say it needed a little work. I bet the engineers were sweating bullets after that one. Classic 911, even back then. Chapter 15. The 911 RSR'S soundtrack. The 911 RSR race car's engine was so loud, drivers complained they couldn't hear the radio. We're talking ear-splitting, ground-shaking, wake the dead loud. Now that's what I call a proper engine note. You know your car is hardcore when it drowns out the only thing keeping you sane on a long endurance race. Porsche's engineers are a cheeky bunch. They hid a small engraving of a troll under the hood of the 996 911. Why? Because every 911 has a little trickster in it. It's like they're saying, yeah, we build serious sports cars, but we don't take ourselves too seriously. Or maybe they just got bored one day. Ever heard of the Porsche 911 Safari? In the 1970s, Porsche thought it'd be a great idea to turn the 911 into a rally car. The result? A 911 that could literally catch air and keep going. Not what Ferdinand Porsche had in mind, but hey, it worked. Imagine seeing a 911 bouncing through the air like a gazelle on a trampoline. It's the stuff of dreams. Porsche loves its limited editions, but here's the catch. They keep making them. Take the 911 GT3 RS. The original was supposed to be rare, a collector's item, a unicorn on wheels. Now, not so much. But people keep buying them because, well, it's a GT3 RS. And who can blame them? It's like saying no to a second slice of cake. It's just not natural. Chapter 19. The 911 that went electric before it was cool. Back in 1898, Ferdinand Porsche created an electric car called the P1. Fast forward over a century, and we're talking about an electric 911. Who says history doesn't repeat itself? It's like Porsche's way of saying we were electric before electric was cool. And you know what? They're right. Chapter 20. The 911 and the James Bond connection. The 911 almost made it into a James Bond film as the villain's car, but the producers went with a Lotus instead. Missed opportunity, if you ask me. Imagine Bond trying to keep up with a 911 on those winding mountain roads. It would have been epic. Chapter 21. The strangest 911 paint job. And finally, the weirdest paint job on a 911? A British customer once ordered a 911 in raspberry red with matching red interior. Because apparently subtlety is overrated. I mean, who needs to blend in when you can drive a car that looks like it was designed by a 5-year-old with a crayon obsession? You made it. So there you have it. 21 facts about the Porsche 911 that you probably didn't know, and if you did, well, congratulations on being a certified car nerd. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and maybe even share it with someone who thinks a Porsche is just a fancy Beetle. See you in the next one.